Hello, fellow citizens of Disneyland. It is so nice to have this space to talk to each and every one of you. This is my second weekly Disneyland update, and I am so excited to share all of the news that's been going on in the world of Disney this week. In fact, I'm more excited than you. Let's get started. If you would like to hear me elsewhere, I have a podcast with my friend Jared Mariuma, who you may know is the illustrator of Hipster Mickey. That's right. He and I have a monthly podcast that launched back in January, episode 1, all of the details of Main Street USA, the heart of the Disneyland park, and maybe the land that they got most perfect. Each and every week, what I love to do is give away, see this graphic on the screen? There it is. We made buttons out of that, and I like to give those away to one person that leaves a comment below. Don Ackerman is this week's winner. Don, I will contact you to send you out a free Disneyland for Designers button. Please comment below to win one this week. Let's get started. There is so much that's going on this week. All right, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Everybody is on the edge of their seat waiting for this to happen. I'm streaming live, by the way. If you're seeing this live, please comment. Let me know if you're enjoying it. Some news came out this week. Now, this news comes to us from a weekly news source over on YouTube. I'm going to recommend that you subscribe and watch if you're not doing it already. This is the fans doing the math, putting it all together, and trying to figure out the magic before it breaks and goes live. So what I'm telling you, it makes sense. I feel that it's accurate, but I cannot promise you that this is the truth. Thank you so much, Brandon. I'm glad that you're having a good time. I'm excited to talk about Disney this week. Here's the deal. What I'm going to show you is a spoiler. If you're really looking forward to the Millennium Falcon Smuggler run, you might want to skip out for a little bit or skim me through because it's a spoiler on how the attraction works. But I'll tell you this. I was saying that I was most excited about seeing the land. I was second excited about seeing the dark ride, Rise of the Resistance, that we talked about last week. And my third, I was like, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. It feels like Star Tours 2.0, which would really be 3.0. But it's not. The attraction is way more sophisticated than I thought. Let's jump in and look at what they have planned for us. All right. DSNY Newscast released an amazing video this week. I'm going to link it below. I suggest you go and watch it. He puts up new videos most Tuesdays and Thursdays. Very energetic, very passionate Disney fan. Great channel. These news watches will become part of your weekly routine as it is mine. He found these images, I believe, over at the WDW News Forum, where fans just go on and talk about all things Disney all of the time. This is what I'm excited about. If you can see the graphic that's in front of me, those green little arrows indicate the loading system for the attraction. If you go watch the video, and I don't want to steal all of his thunder, he shows you where the entrance is going to be, talks about the storyline of how we're going to get recruited to go on an adventure. He went much deeper than I am, and I'm not going to steal his content, but I do want to share this deep dive with you. So those green arrows would show that when we get loaded in, it would feel as if we're going through the Millennium Falcon. So we get to go up the famous ramp that we've seen. We get to go around the hallway, look inside of the different rooms. We get to jig-jag over, come around the other side through the famous gaming area of the Millennium Falcon, and then eventually make our way to the cockpit, where us and 5 of our closest friends, or stranger single rider line, I hope, will get to finally pilot the Millennium Falcon. That's right, Brandon. You and I are hanging out here today, buddy. Jig-jag. That is a professional term that only broadcasters that go live on YouTube use. So this is what I'm excited about. This is the loading process. So it'll actually feel like for the first time we get to go inside of the Millennium Falcon. But oh wait, it gets better because this is how the ride system works. Once we go into the cockpit, our cockpit then spins around and loads up another 6 guests. And our adventure begins, and we get to actually work together as a team to steer and navigate the fastest ship in space. 12 parsecs, I'm going for 10. I'm going for 5. I'm going to cut it in half. But this is the thing that I'm thinking about. How does this ride system really interact? Why is this going to be different than Star Tours? And why should we all be so excited about this? Well, if you think about the way that we load in through the Millennium Falcon, we're now in this chamber with our buds in this pod, and when the ride's over with, we're going to exit back out a separate Millennium Falcon, right? So it's a sleight of hand. We exit where we think that we just did, but our fellow Star Warsians are loading up where we just were. So basically, we're going to go on our voyage, end up back there. Cart comes back around. This is a fantastic cart ride system. Go watch DSNY newscast to see the rest of the details that he uncovered. But I want to go deeper into this because this has got me very excited thinking about how can this work? What's the deep dive on this technology? Before we get there, let's go back. I got some interesting theories I'm going to break on you, but let's go back to the beginning. These are the construction photos that many of us have been looking at since the construction began. I want to say, what was that, 2017? They started clearing out. We looked at dirt. We looked at concrete. A lot of it didn't make sense. But now going back, it is making sense. JVDP, what's up, Jeremy? Nice to see you over there. Okay, so you can see these two circular rings, right? That's our Millennium Falcon attraction, okay? That's the circle that we just looked at, okay? This is this. And a lot of us have figured out that there's actually multiple of these. So I'm not sure if one's the Millennium and the other one's the ride system, but if you look at that graphic I have posted up and you look at the building over to the top right, that's already this system with walls over it. So let's look at some other views here to get a real detail of what we're looking at. So this was the ride system very early on. A lot of us saw these rings. It definitely looked significant. A lot of pouring concrete. We could tell that this was going to be the infrastructure of something much, much larger. And then this is it zoomed in. So where that crane sits and where that white pickup truck is, that's the nest for the Millennium Falcon. You know Disney Magic's going to make us feel like that's the one that we're on. But that is a fully materialized to one-to-one scale Millennium Falcon that exists right now in Anaheim. It's sitting out there right now. There's a Millennium Falcon 13 miles from my home. All right? And we're going to feel like we go on that when we load in to these two ride systems. But this is where I think it gets even more interesting, and this is where sort of the intel that I've been learning online through WDW and through DSNY, this is where my own hypothesis comes into play. So if we look at this space, right, we've got building number 1, which would be where Han Solo is pointing, okay? And then that will be some ride systems. Building number 2, where Chewie is pointing, will be the same thing, because if we look at these two buildings, we can see that the infrastructure on the top, the cooling systems, the power systems, they're pretty much an exact mirror replica of each other. And then we have that famous Disney facade, so that we don't see any of this, that wraps around that horseshoe. Right there in the middle, that's where the Millennium Falcon lives, okay? So that whole building is going to be giving us this attraction. So when we look at that amount of space and we think about the facades of walking through a Millennium Falcon and then being in the capsule, the one thing that I don't think a lot of people are really paying attention to is height. Height is the variable here. So I wanted to take a deep dive and say, how big are these buildings? And is this going to be a multi-level experience? Because surely they're not going to spend all this money to just let us go around in a circle. And if we're just going up and down like this, how does that really work? Will that really feel like we're, going into hyperdrive, like we're going into space? Let's look at this footage, shall we? This is drone footage that was released by Disney Official. This is over from the Disney Parks blog. I'm going to kill the music in fear of copy strike, but let's look at this. This is the area that the Millennium Falcon lives in right here, okay? So we're going to just kind of scroll through here and see that's the Rise of the Resistance. Millennium Falcon is far off into the distance there. Millennium Falcon over here. Rise of the Resistance is this building. You can see the Fantasyland Theater over there, the twin spirals of the tent there, the circus tent. But let's scroll over. That's the top right there. Okay, bingo. This is what we're looking for. Right in here is our Millennium Falcon. So if we count, we're seeing that we're at least 3 stories. And if you look at the scaffolding that the workers can walk on, we can see that these are deep, like commercial stories, right? They're not your average, 12 feet or whatever it is. So as we look into this area and we dig in a little bit deeper and we see the height of it, once again, this is our Millennium Falcon area, I believe. Yeah, because this is like the main sort of like spire, right? And then the attraction lives in here. That's a pretty tall building. And I know there's got to be a room for all of the machinery that makes it work, but that's a nice depth that we have there. Okay. So then that's it all finished. So that's the spire that we're talking about, and inside here, inside the mountain, that's our going to be our fun time. But when we look back at this, we can see that there's a couple of different stories there to make this ride really feel like it's taking off, which gets into my next idea is this. Let's go over to this footage that Disney has released over on their parks. I'm going to go ahead and play this and then skim back through it, but let's watch this drop. When they take off, you see this drop, which makes me think that the attraction not only can move sort of in, where's my camera at? Not only move like this, but there could be some significant G drops. Watch this drop that they do, and imagine this being a multi-level experience. All right, so they're cruising, they're having a fun time, they're pushing buttons, they're working as a team, because boom, that's a drop. And Disney has a way of showing us everything in these clips, but showing us nothing at all. So when it comes down, boom, you get that big drop in there. And I know that you're saying over there, so it'd be like Star Tours on steroids, because from looking at the graphics we looked at earlier, if you're in that circle area, you could actually do a significant drop, a 2 or 3 story drop with all of the motions going on. Like, who knows? We might load in on one floor and get off of a Millennium Falcon on another floor. Star Tours is gone, in my opinion. There's absolutely no reason to leave it after this. That will be a part of a complete bulldoze of Tomorrowland, which is what I'm going to predict. So this is I think, very exciting. It's going to be exciting to see if this is a multi-level ride and if we can really feel the force and if this really takes off more so than any of these interactive rides we've seen in the past. But it's funny how it's going to be these 2 buildings doing this attraction, started with these little circles in the ground, and look at that ride system, the DSNY, uncovered with the help of WDW. That is fantastic. I cannot wait for this. This was something that I was kind of iffy about. I thought it would be like Star Tours, but really think about this and let it soak in. I think this is going to be a fantastic attraction. Okay, Disney announced this week that if you go to the Opera House, the Disney Theater there in the town square area, right when you walk into Disneyland, that where Mr. Lincoln's moments in history with Mr. Lincoln normally is, they will be showing an extended Dumbo preview. I like this. I like going and seeing movies there. A couple Halloweens ago, we went for one of Disney's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties. That's a tremendous value. If you're only going to go to the park once this year, I would suggest buying that ticket. You get a park with less people in it. They really turn up the magic that night, and they were showing old Disney Halloween-themed cartoons in there. Beth and I sitting there for a solid half an hour just watching them. I wanted to stay for longer, but Disney, you want to keep going and moving and moving. So they're going to be showing Dumbo over there, which I think is really cool. You go into Disneyland, you hop into the theater, you get to enjoy a little bit of time off your feet and watch this on the big screen and just feel the magic where it comes from. I'm excited about this idea, and it kind of unlocked another idea in my mind that we will save for a week when maybe there's not quite so much that's going on. So you can go over to the Opera House and see an extended preview of Dumbo, which I feel like it really fits that building. It fits the decor. It fits the time. So I'm happy they're doing it there. But what do we do about California Adventure? Because this summer is going to be the first time that we go into the two-park system, where for a lot of the summer, annual pass holders will be blocked out of Disneyland to keep Disneyland as open as possible for people that want to go experience Galaxy's Edge. So DCA is once again really going to take the weight and become the locals park. And I always think of California Adventure as really the locals park. It's where you see a lot of locals like to go there. It's a little bit more convenient for hanging out. The walkways are wider. It's just a little bit more of a chill vibe that locals like myself really seem to enjoy. So Disney announced that they're going to be doing a Lion King festival over in DCA. Now, right now, the what we know about it is pretty loose. They just kind of threw it out there to us. But music, some food, some street celebrations, they'll probably, I would guess, incorporate some of the stuff that we've seen from the Lion King Broadway type presentation, that sort of puppeteer thing that they do Broadway. They'll bring it over there. But we'll see how that plays out. All right, I am back. It looks like everything froze up on me, and I apologize. It's been sort of a wild day over here. Let's just get into this bit of news. I got a couple more stories. Hopefully you'll enjoy this, and maybe I can stitch it together into one video. Who knows? But this is the Tangora Terrace. If you're not aware of this restaurant, it's a part of the Disneyland Hotel area of downtown Disney, and it's a fantastic way to extend out the night. Trader Joe's. Sorry, dealing with all this technical stuff, I lost my spot. Trader Sam's, not Trader Joe's, is right around the corner from here. And this restaurant just got reopened after a refurbishment. It's a fast casual restaurant, and they do made-to-order dishes with signature tiki cocktails. But here's the most important part. You can finally get Dole Whip without going into the park. So friends that come from all over, they want to get that extra Dole Whip, but they don't want to pay for the ticket, you can now get it. This is inspired by Walt's Tiki Room. Inside there's new decor, and it features a big tropical mural with hidden Tiki Room birds. Can you find or spot them all? I do think that Disney put out a challenge for us there. They also extended out the patio, which means that you can hang out outside. This was always a nice place to sit in the evening hours. Never really been there in the day. It's always sort of been an end of the night type thing for me. You can now also get pool service if you're staying on the other side. But what they did is they really opened it up, made it way more tropical, feels more way Polynesian, and updated the menu as well. You can get this. When I went to Hawaii, I had one of these Spam sandwiches, deep fried Spam with wasabi and rice. Man, oh man, is that good. But the best news is this. You can walk up and you can get Dole Whip from an express window. You can also get wine and beer, and they have a coffee bar for folks like me that's what you love. Use the Disneyland app. You don't have to wait in line. You can just go up, grab your Dole Whip, and get going with it. And here's the best part. You can get a Dole Whip for those of you that like to drink. Because it's not inside Disneyland, you can get the Dole Whip with rum added to it. You can get a float with rum put in there. I'm sure some of you, that's going to be a great thing. Moving on. Merch madness. People love Disneyland merch. They did this Steamboat Willie popcorn bucket, which was only available to AP members last week, sold out in a day. I'm not sure if more have shown up or if it was just a one-day come and get them. This is that deal where you buy it and you can get $1 refills up until, I believe, sometime in March or April. But nobody's really buying it for the $1 refills. People are buying it because it's limited, and you have to be an AP holder to get it. And careful if you think that you're going to flip this, because Disney has started to crack down, and if you're caught flipping merchandise that you bought as an AP holder, you can lose your annual pass standing. And if you know me, this is my lifeblood. This cannot be taken away from me. This is my favorite card in my wallet because it's the key to all of the magic. So if you can get your hand on one of these, you're going to get something very limited, and I doubt people are going to take these back and refill them. They're going to clean them and put them on a shelf, and only dum-dums will decide to sell them. Disney got into reusable bags. There's 4 designs that you can get out at the Disneyland Resort, one for each park. On the left there, that red one you see, that's the California Adventure. The blue and black one is for Disneyland, which is interesting that the Disneyland bag showcases the Mickey Fun Wheel, which lives in Disney California Adventure, which is on the other bag. What are you doing, Disney? I just caught the mistake, but we'll let it pass because the monorail does go to both parks. We know where Sleeping Beauty lives. More news about her in a minute. And everybody loves the facade of It's the Small World. Disney being awesome with these bags, making them available in 3 sizes. And get this, small bag, $1, medium-sized bag, $1.50, and the big boy is $2. So this isn't a cash grab. This is literally them trying to say, hey, what can we do to slow down all these disposable plastic bags that we're flooding in the thousands each and every day in our park? So there you go. This is the other design, and I believe the 4th design is a downtown Disney theme. I think I saw it someplace and it wasn't that exciting. But these other 2, I think these look pretty good. And for $2 tops, $1 on the low end, probably a nice little bag to have to tote around with you or to keep in the back of the car. All right, our last bit of news today is the castle refurbishment. The idea was they were going to put the original painting up on scrims on the outside of the castle while it was being worked on. Well, if you live in Southern California, then you know we had really rough weather the last couple of days. So when the rough weather came, the scrims got blown down. I'm going to send you over to Mice Chat because they did a really great blog. Their weekly update, the Mice Chat weekly updates are always great. The resort updates. They did one of those and they took tons of photos. I won't share a lot of their content. I'll just give you this teaser. But if you were at the park this week, you got to actually see Sleeping Beauty with all the scaffolding around it. And I really love seeing the scaffolding and how all this comes together. I mean, what an enormous buildup that it is for a few months of work to take place. So head over to Mice Chat and check that out to see it all. But the plan was to put the original facade up on the outside. Well, that didn't work out when the weather happened and they had to take the scrims down temporarily. But this is a graphic that's actually on the front of the castle, and this breaks down the forced perspective details that we talked about last week. As you can see, they have decided to paint the bottom stones very, very dark, and then it'll taper up to lighter colors. So it goes dark gray to a light gray, and that random assortment of stones is really just a very nice paint job. And you can see that they're putting lighter and lighter stones in as you get to the top. So as the rule of forced perspective goes, that's going to make it feel much taller. And then the pink salmon color, you can tell that as well gets lighter as it works its way up to the top. And then you can see that it looks as if they're going to use light blues on the top, dark blues. So they're basically just working in some nice gradients to make the castle feel taller and mightier, which when you're standing back where the Christmas tree goes or the big pumpkin Mickey and you look down Main Street, it's going to make it feel even more epic working your way through that main artery of the park. Hey, sorry that there was a technical difficulty in the middle. I do these live to keep them efficient on my time, but I'll be here every Friday talking about what I learned this week in Disney news and sending you to a bunch of other channels and blogs that I think you should go check out. I want to thank those people for letting me use their content. I want to congratulate once again Don Ackerman on being this week's winner of the Disneyland for Designers button. Make sure you go and listen to our podcast with Jared Maruyama. First episode's out already where we talk about Main Street USA. And I will see you back here next Friday. And if you comment below, I will pick somebody at random to send out a button. Please like, share, and comment and help me justify keeping this back here each and every Friday when we get to talk about Disneyland together. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I had a great time and I hope you did. And I hope to see you out of the park soon. Goodbye.